He retired as a colonel.
We're live. Hello, everybody. It's like a TV show. All right. Welcome to our second professional development evening of the year for the Concordia MAED program. Thank you for those who are able to come in person. We're glad you're here. For the many of you who are with us online streaming, we're glad you're with us as well and hope everything translates clearly for you tonight and you're able to enjoy the evening along with us. So we're going to go ahead and begin as usual. My name is Ron Lamont. I am the one of the administrators of the MAED program here, and just want to welcome you. And this evening, I'd like to introduce our Associate Dean of the School of Education, Dr. Sandra Charlemagne, and she'd like to say just a couple of words. Dr. Charlemagne.
Thank you, Ron. And I do enjoy being able to say hello to all of you, both here and far, and thank you for being part of the Concordia family. And as always, I think you know we love our family, and we're so glad that you can share this evening together with us so that we can learn a little bit more about our students, how to work with them better, how to work with each other a little bit better. And the way that we do that is we come together and we converse, and we learn, and we enjoy. So many blessings for everything you're going to learn this evening and all the things that you're going to teach us. So thank you very much, and back to Ron.
Thank you, Dr. Charlemagne. Okay, a lot of people put their time and effort into making this evening happen, and I just want to say thank you to a couple of people up front. First of all, Randall, our technology support in the back. Thank you, Randall. He is the symposium hero. If you're at the symposium, he is just our guy. So we're so glad. And he pulled everything together so it works tonight. Thank you. We want to thank Debbie. Where's Debbie Fragine? Oh, she just ran out. Okay, Debbie Fragine, our assistant, just has been so helpful with the logistics. And to Ann, thank you for the cupcakes, Ann. All right. A couple other introductions I'd like to make before we start. First of all, Kent Schlichtemeyer, our Assistant Dean, Dr. Kent Schlichtemeyer, thank you for being here tonight. And we also have our other area administrators. We have Barbara Howard, Andrea Gordon, Ashley, and Rick. We want to say thank you to them for joining us tonight, and glad you could be with us online. And we hope you contribute with everyone else on the live stream web chat. And please, let me emphasize this evening, if you have anything, if you're online that you want to ask or share, please do so in the chat section, because we will be monitoring that and participating with you as we go through the evening. So please participate with us, even if you're online. All right, thank you. Now, we always start with a devotion because we feel very strongly here at Concordia University that our Lutheran heritage is a critical part of our School of Education, and they support us in so many ways here. And so each meeting we have one of our professors from the School of Theology, Christ College, come and share a devotion with us with a Lutheran message. So tonight we have Professor Mark Siegert, who's going to be here to share a devotion with us. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, Ron. It is a pleasure for me to be here with you this evening. I didn't know just how fancy and formal this was. It was great food, and I know so many of you. By way of quick introduction, because I want to get right to the devotion, by way of quick introduction, I want to remind you that I did actually receive a master's degree in curriculum and instruction from this program, from Concordia University, back in 1990-something. I believe it was 94, if I remember correctly. So you guys have a great legacy in your teaching in a really great program that's very useful to the learners of the United States. I almost said the young people, but let's face it, there's a lot of learners who aren't young people these days, right? Well, with that's enough about me. Let's begin with a prayer, please. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for all the gifts that you give us. Lord, we know that you give us house and home and family and friends and food, and we thank you for all of these things, Lord. They are blessings to us, and we pray that we would in turn use them as blessings to our world. We also thank you, of course, Lord, for sending Jesus Christ to be our Savior. We pray that you would continue to reassure us daily in his love and give us strength and courage to share that truth with the people that we meet and the people that we work with. Bless our time this evening as we study together, learn together, and collaborate together. We pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. It's a devotion, so I'm assuming all of you have access to a Bible somewhere. So if you want to, if you do, if you don't, what little bit of the scripture we're going to read is a very familiar passage. But if you do have the Bible on your phone or handy, we're going to be looking at Matthew chapter 2 real quick this evening. And while you get out Matthew chapter 2, let me share with you the sort of two goals that I have for the devotion this evening. It's a devotion, and to me that sounds like something that, on the one hand, you should walk away being reassured by something that you probably already knew. So some concept that's a part of our Christian faith, that's something that you're already familiar with, but maybe you revisit it and you're reassured and strengthened by it. At the same time, I would like to leave you with a challenge to take that concept and reapply it to how you share your faith and to how you teach the faith. So that's kind of the two places we're going this evening. Would somebody like to read Matthew chapter 2 for us? It's Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through, how far do I want you to go here? Well, somebody start reading, and I'll tell you when to stop. It's only the first maybe 5 or 6 verses. So is anybody brave soul willing to do that in-house here?
I'm ready.
Thank you.
NIV. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose, and we came to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law. He asked them where the Messiah was to be born. In Bethlehem in Judea, they replied, for this is what the prophet has written.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Again, you all know the story. Thanks for reading that. Tell me your name. Robert. Thank you, Robert, for reading that story. It's a very familiar story. Many of us associate that story with Christmas, right? And here we are. If you're not in the room this evening is decked out in Valentine's Day. Technically, in the church year, we are still in the season that's called Epiphany, and this is really more of an Epiphany story than a Christmas story. And just a quick note, the men's bathroom on the 3rd floor of Grimm Hall is still decorated for Christmas, so I'm okay by reading this story. But it's a familiar story, right? I had planned to ask some questions in-house if there are people online who want to just shout out the answer to. The early questions I have here are pretty easy, and some of you as teachers have probably answered some of these questions or asked some of these questions of your students. How many wise men visited Jesus according to this story? How many wise men visited Jesus according to this story? John Randall is shrugging his shoulders back there. We don't know, right? Why do we think it was 3? Because of the 3 gifts and the song, We Three Kings, right? How many kings visited Jesus according to this story? That we know the answer, 0. They weren't kings. They were wise men. They were scholars of their day, magi, not really magicians, but smart people, educated, well-read kind of people. Where did they come from? The East. We don't know exactly what that means. It probably wasn't the Far East. It was probably more like China. To people living in Jerusalem and Israel, Persia is east. So that's probably where they came from. Fairly simple stuff so far. Before we do that, why did the wise men go to Herod when they arrived in town? They'd been following this star, thinking that they were it was going to lead them to the king of Israel, and they go see Herod. Why do they go see Herod? What do you think, Ann? They thought Herod would know where he was at, and it turns out they were close. The other reason they went to Herod is because they're wise men. They're visiting from another country, and they're going into Herod's territory, and they probably know that this Herod is a pretty aggressive kind of king, and so they thought, well, we better go make our peace first. And so they say, this is why we're here. So, if you have this open now, then you might need to look at the next few questions. When the wise men got to Herod, what did they ask Herod? We're here to find out what? What did the wise men say to Herod? What did they want? What were they looking for? The one who was supposed to be born king of the Jews, right? Okay, now, here's the next question that I find really interesting. This is why I started chasing this question down. Herod says, I don't know, let's go ask the Jewish authorities. It's their king. And of course, Herod is disturbed. Herod is disturbed because, well, he's the king. And we find out that at this stage in Herod's life, he's very paranoid that other people are going to take over his throne. In fact, we think that he had 2 of his own sons killed because he thought they were coming after the throne. Some people said it was better to be Herod's dogs than to be Herod's sons. So they go to Herod and say, where is this king to be born? And Herod gets upset, and all Jerusalem with him, because when the king's upset, everybody's in trouble. But what does Herod ask the Jewish leaders? He changes the question slightly. What did he say? And say it loud for the people online too. Right. Well, but he asks. Well, before that, Herod says, "Let's go inquire of the Jewish leaders." What does he inquire? They asked, "Where is the King of the Jews to be born?" Herod asks, "Where is the Messiah, the Christ, to be born?" Herod changes their question a little bit. He translates for them. I found this to be fascinating. I don't know if maybe you never thought about it before, but the word Christ, by the time Jesus was born, had become a term that Jewish people used to sum up all of the terms in the Old Testament for the promised one. The King of the Jews was one of those terms. The Son of Man, the Son of God, all of these promises and all these terms were summed up into the term Christ. And Herod knew that. How do you suppose Herod knew that? How did Herod know to translate a Jewish idea from King of the Jews to Christ or Messiah. Christ and Messiah, by the way, are the same word. Just one's one language, one's a different language, but they both mean the exact same thing. And so Herod makes this translation from King of the Jews to Messiah or Christ. How does Herod know how to do that? Herod had been helping the Jewish people for about a decade or maybe more, maybe like 15 years. Herod had been helping the Jewish people rebuild their temple in Jerusalem to specs. He had the Jewish authorities telling him, how should we make this temple? And they went back to the specs, to the original temple, and were trying to rebuild it according to those specs. So Herod had spent a lot of time. He was a little bit crazy as a king, but he was a well-read man. He was a learned man. He knew the Jewish faith. How did he know the Jewish faith? Because he had encountered it, even if he wasn't a person with the Jewish faith. The point of this, my friends, is, and we could do the same thing with the woman at the well. I have a whole set of Bible studies that I'm going to try to publish someday. Jesus talking to the woman at the well, and she asks him a few questions about where we should worship. She doesn't like his answer, and she says, well, someday there will be a Christ who will settle this problem for us. There's just people using this term just very easily all over the place in the First Testament, or in the first century. And even Herod, even people that aren't associated with Judaism know this. The shepherds hear about a Christ, and they drop everything and go see. How do shepherds know the term? Peter, who's sort of trained, sort of not, he knows that Jesus is the Christ. This term is crazy, and how can it be that everybody knows this term and uses this term so universally, except that it must be everywhere in the Old Testament? The Jewish people, of course, didn't call it the Old Testament in their day, but obviously this idea was the one idea that seeped up everywhere in the Old Testament, to the point where even if you came in remote contact with the Jewish faith, you heard them talking about the promised Christ. So what does this tell you? What is the concept that you've already heard, that you've already known as Christians all your life, that you can now kind of say, look, this is a truth. Christ is the center of Scripture. It must be the center of Scripture. We always think, well, Jesus is all about the New Testament, and he's the Christ, and that's true, but every page of Scripture is all about the Christ. The Old Testament promises it and describes it in so many different ways. The New Testament just says, here it is in this man, Jesus. So I think you probably already knew that. You probably had Sunday school teachers tell you that the Bible's all about Christ, right? And you probably even as a teacher told some of your students that if you taught in parochial schools. But now you can know that it's not just Christians sort of imposing that idea on the Bible. I hope what you'll realize is that idea actually bubbles up and oozes up out of the Bible. It can't possibly be something that people made up later, because even guys like Herod, even a woman at the well, a Samaritan woman, would know that. Even Peter, who's, who knows, so it must be everywhere in the Bible. So that's something that I hope reassures you, that you can kind of know that your Bible, that the Word of God, that's the thing that God has always been trying to tell humans. There's this Christ, you need him, and he's coming, and he's going to take care of everything for you. And then there's this Jesus who is the Christ, and you got him. And God's saying, I'm giving this to you. And I hope that reassures you. But now the challenge, the question that I'd like to leave with you, and actually I'd like to hear answers from you. We only have a few minutes left. I'm cognizant of the clock. And maybe there's some people online who can kind of jump in on this question. So and you can be confident that the Bible is centered on Christ, that it's all about Christ. My question is, how are you going to use that as a proclaimer of Christ, sharing Christ as an evangelist? Because if you're a Christian, baptized Christian, you're an evangelist. And also, how are you going to use that as a teacher? How are you going to teach the faith? Here at Concordia, we spend a lot of time trying to figure out how we can teach the faith to our students. It's a different kind of thing. So make the connection for me. Help me make the connection. How do you apply this idea that the Bible is all about Christ, and you can be sure of that, as a teacher or as an evangelist? That's the question I'd kind of like to throw open to the room. I'm going to hold this in front of you so that they can hear online too.
I think that as an evangelist, I have a responsibility to share my experience and my hope and personal beliefs and how they connect to the current today in living. And I think that especially since I'm in a secular environment, that's a way that I can model evangelism and making sure that people, do see Christ within me.
So yeah, you know the Bible is all about Christ, and you know that now Christ is in you via your baptism or via the Word coming to you, the Holy Spirit, and so you can say, and this is it. And you want a story of Christ? You pick a place. Let's go. Let's start. Great. Thank you. Anybody else? Do I have anything online? Randall, is there anybody chipping in? Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Anyone? Bueller? See, the people that laughed at that joke, I can tell how old you are. How does being certain and being sure that the Bible as a unified document is centered on Christ, how does that help you as an evangelist, as a teacher of the faith? I told you I'd challenge you. Go ahead. I'm going to hand you the mic too now.
Well, as teachers and researchers, we always like to quote primary sources.
Yeah. It's a primary source, and that's just it. Now you're not quoting your Sunday school teacher, or for me, I'm not quoting my seminary professor, which pastors like to do. It's like, it's right there. Yeah. What else? Anything? What's replicate my lesson? What do you mean? Oh, just remind people. Go. Oh, good. Thank you. I'm honored. But yeah, you just show them from the Scripture itself. Let it speak. Yeah, absolutely. Kendall, we got something online. I'm sorry, I called you Kendall Randall.
Building bridges between the learning and the Bible.
Okay. So you can tell you're all educators. You're saying, oh, there's a concept and I want to build a bridge. And why not use the Bible as a learning tool? Why not? Anything else? I would love to stand here and do an entire session with you. In fact, I'm going to do that in Phoenix later this month. I've got a whole hour to kind of go through this concept. I hope one more, Randall, one more in the... Okay.
Allows us to draw from the lessons within the Gospels and letters, applying scriptures to everyday situations and challenges. And that's it.
Okay. Good. Thank you. I want to give you one last challenge, and that's to continue to think about that. Because I would actually invite you to send me emails if you come up with other ideas, other ways to do that. I'm really curious on how people can take a theological, doctrinal construct like that and turn it into something that's not just theology and doctrine, but actually something that helps us proclaim the Word of God and carry out the mission of the church. That's to me where the rubber hits the road. I love teaching the theology, but how do you make it work in your life? So if you come up with any other ideas, please email them to me. Let me know. All right? I think I'm done, Ron. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Appreciate the input.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mark. That was a fantastic devotion and just a great reminder of the foundation of what we do and why we do what we do. So thank you so much for representing Christ College for us. And Kathy Mueller is going to share some critical information for us. As we go through the year, things come up that we want to remind everybody of, and critical, important housekeeping information pieces. And this evening, Kathy has some things to share with you.
Hey, everybody. Good to see everybody. In case you don't know me, like he said, I'm Kathy Mueller. And just to keep with the theme, my husband and I always said if we had a boy, we were going to name him Ferris. Okay. We didn't have... Okay, it's not moving. It's not going. All right, we can do this. Maybe not. It's not moving. I'll hit play. All right, here we go. Okay, so I get many questions on a regular basis from, thank you, from many of you, but with all sorts of questions, and I can't answer them all. I wish I could, but I can't. So I thought what I would do real quick is just give you an idea of who to contact for different reasons. So the first one is if you have course-related questions. If you have questions about your textbook or when you're going to meet, or even content, that's really not me. And I know that you are used to emailing me because I'm the one that sends you your contracts. But just so you know, these are the people that you should be contacting. So if it is a course in administration or school counseling, curriculum instruction, ed tech, these are the people the administrators that oversee those programs. And if they can't answer your question, they will get you to the right person who can. Okay? I know people are taking pictures of that and writing things down, so I'll just wait for a moment. Okay. If you have contract questions, guess what? That's me. Okay. So a contract question would be, if you have a question, you get a contract from me and the amount is wrong, or there's some missing assignments, or the unit amount is wrong, then I'm the right person that you would be emailing and letting me know that there's an issue, and we can work on that, and I'll talk to the administrators or whoever I need to talk to get it worked out for you. Okay. So that's who you contact. This is my email and phone number. Just about everybody's email is their first name dot last name at cui.edu. Okay, and all phone numbers start with this 949-214, and then they have their extension. Okay. All right. So if you have payroll questions, so if there's a pay discrepancy, incorrect withholdings, you want to change your withholding. If maybe you didn't get a paycheck and you were expecting it, Jim Barsanis in HR is the person you need to talk to for those questions. And there's his information. I can send this out to everybody if you'd like. And lastly, for any IT assistance, that's Randall in the back. And this is for like Blackboard or training, classroom tech. If you have a classroom here on campus and you need someone to help you get it set up, Randall can help you out. And if you look here at his email, this is a little bit different. This is a ticketing system, so he can kind of track all of his tickets that come in. So please take a moment and write this email down. It's help@soe.on.spiceworks.com. So that's the email you need to use when you have any IT questions. Okay? Anything before I move on? I think it's pretty self-explanatory. All right. So this is a really important one, guys. I really need everybody to be checking their emails. And I know that many of you do all the time, because I will send a contract to you, and within moments, I've already got a signed contract back. So I know you're checking your emails, because I can only send your contract to your cui.edu email. I cannot send it to any other email. And all of your correspondence, as you know, should be going, for your Concordia correspondence, should be going through your cui.edu email. And the way I know that so many of you aren't is because there are still contracts that I haven't gotten signed back. So that tells me that many are not looking at their emails, because I send a reminder every day. After a week, if I haven't gotten a signed contract from you, I start sending daily reminders. And so I've had some that get like about 2 or 3 weeks of daily reminders before they're looking. So please, please, please check your emails. Okay, pay dates. So this term, I got a lot of emails from people. We changed some things the way that we do payroll. And by doing that, we actually are allowing us to pay you sooner than we used to before. But what that also means is that some terms you might get 4 paychecks and some you might get 5. So this term, your first check was probably a little less than you thought it was going to be. And don't worry, if you split it over what you should have been paid over 5 checks, you'll see that it was just fine. You're just going to get a 5th check this term. And it all depends on when the term starts, whether you're going to get 4 or 5 paychecks. So that's just to explain that. I know that there were a lot of questions about that this time. Okay, the next thing is if you are sent a form like a mileage form or something like that, if you can try and do that electronically and not write it in. There's many formulas in those forms, and it's much easier to read. It's cleaner, and it, like I said, there's formulas that figures it out for you. So if you could please try and use the fillable form online, that would be really helpful for us. Okay, and as you know, we have this new Adobe sign that's coming out for all your contracts, and it has been wonderful for me. I hope it has been for you also, that you don't have to scan everything anymore. You can just sign. It comes directly back to me. I get a signed copy. You get a signed copy. Everybody gets a signed copy. It's wonderful, and I appreciate how much you guys are using that, and I hope you're enjoying it like I am. And then, finally, just any questions. Do you guys have any questions about Adobe Sign or contracts or anything like that for me? I'm going to wait just a second because I know we're on delay. No, it's just in School of Ed. Well, it's we piloted a new program. And now it's actually gone from us. Now School of Arts and Sciences is using the same contracting system, but we're the only 2 schools on campus that are using this particular contracting system and Adobe Sign. Nobody else is doing that. We are first. Yay, us! We're the guinea pigs. Yeah. It's actually been, it's been pretty good. Yeah.
Questions online.
Okay.
One of them is there a schedule that we will receive to indicate if we are in a 4 or 5 pay period ahead of time?
I can ask HR. HR is really the ones that determine that. So it all has to do with the 15th, the 1st and the 15th, when those lie and when the term begins. So I will ask them for that, and then I will try and get one out to everybody. Yep. Anything else? Any other
Adobe
questions?
Sign is great.
Oh, yes, we love Adobe Sign. All right. Anything else? Yes. They want the PowerPoint. Okay, I will do that for sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, yes, I'll send this out that has all the contact information for everybody. All right. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. So we've got this.
Okay, we have a quick presentation from Dr. Catherine Webb on a critical update that we should be aware of. So she has recorded a video for us. She is working remotely, and so we're going to go ahead and go to Catherine.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you for a few minutes about some exciting changes happening with the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing, specifically for students in our admin program. As you may know, in 2000, the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, CTC, began a comprehensive effort to update and revise standards, policies, and regulations relating to the licensure of school administrators and the accreditation of the programs that prepare school administrators. Since 2016, the CTC has engaged a 15-member design team of practitioners and administrative educators to develop the California Administrator Performance Assessment, or CAL-APA. Similar to the TPA, or Teacher Performance Assessment, the CAL-APA has been purposefully structured to address the state's Administrator Performance Assessment design and program implementation standards, as well as the key elements of the California Administrator Performance Expectations, or CAPES. Adopted by the CTC in June 2016, the CAPES provide the foundation for the 3 leadership cycles that comprise the CAL-APA, with a focus on organizational development, change management, and instructional leadership. Each leadership cycle includes 4 inquiry-oriented steps. For every cycle, students must investigate, plan, act, and reflect. The CAL-APA model is intended to help guide and refine administrative candidates' thinking and encourage decision-making throughout each cycle. So how does this impact us at Concordia? Since we have an admin program that prepares students for their preliminary administrative credential, we are responsible for embedding the 3 cycles into our curriculum to provide both a formal assessment of a candidate's administrative ability to meet the mandates of the CTC, but also to provide a framework of performance-based guidance during the candidate's administrative preparation program. We currently have 2 faculty members and their students in 2 separate cohorts participating in the field test. We have embedded the cycles into the practicum courses to minimize course changes. We will be meeting to discuss what went well and what changes need to be made so that we can roll out the APA cycles this fall. If you are a faculty member teaching in the admin program, the Cal APA will definitely directly impact you. We will be providing you with training to better understand the assessment cycles and how to support your students so that they are successful. This fall 2018 will be a non-consequential year, meaning that all new starts in fall 2018 will take the Cal APA. They are required to take the assessments. The results, however, will not prevent any student from receiving an administrative credential recommendation. The results will be used to establish a standard. In fall 2019, however, all new starts must take and pass the Cal APA in order to receive an administrative credential recommendation. I know this is a lot of information to take in, but please know that we will be providing you with the support and resources you need to successfully support your students. So if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact Dr. Charlemagne or me at the emails listed on the screen. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to completing this year strong.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. All right, we do apologize if there's feedback there, but we're trying to make the connection between the live and the on-stream. Okay, as Kelly's getting set up, first of all, I want to thank everybody for participating tonight because, as you can see already in this evening's presentations, things are constantly evolving and changing in the School of Education and in education in general. And these things take place in between our meetings, and it's critical that you guys are aware of these things as they come up and as they evolve and change. So these meetings are critical for us 3 times a year. This is when we're able to give you this information that helps you do your job better and to help us help you. So thank you. So Kelly has always been one of our just foundational people regarding changes and updates and improvements to the School of Education. And she has information tonight that she's going to share with us. Before she does, I just want to say one thing, and that is that as we've evolved over time into more and more standards that we're being required to attain and being asked to do so many different things than we used to do in the past, it's absolutely critical that we now see these things that Kelly shares with us as essential, not as good ideas. In the past, it's kind of like, it'd be a really good idea if we can do this online, or if we can communicate this way, or if we can do this with our class. Those kind of good old days of just kind of, yeah, let's just do the best we can are no longer with us. Okay, now we're in the situation where these things that Kelly shares with us are absolutely critical, because as we deliver our program to our students, we want them to get the very, very best in their experience, and we want you to have the best support possible. So Kelly's going to share some things with us tonight, as will the rest of our presenters, and we want you to know that these things are really critical in our constant ongoing improvement cycle here in the School of Ed. So Kelly, thank you.
Good evening. So you have to forgive me a little bit. I'm going to be redundant because there's a few things on here I covered back in August that I'm going to be discussing again, just because, as Ron said, they are essential items, and they are items that we get common questions on how to go about doing these tasks. So I felt that it was important just to run through them again. We also have a lot of new faculty members that have joined us since August. So I'll be running through those just another time for you. Thank you, Kathy, for adding what I also added, but I did want to introduce our program administrators. Again, we have curriculum instruction, Ron Lamont. Ed admin is Sandra Charlemagne.
Ed Tech, Rick Turrentine, and School Counseling, Andrea Gordon. I'll be going in a little bit about when you are going to use them in the program when you come up with some student situations. So I'll talk about that in a minute. We also have our program coordinators. They are in charge of their entire program and the content in the program. They work with the SMEs, the subject matter experts, with the content. They can answer questions for you. They also do some tech stuff for our faculty members. They'll help with that. But they're basically the managers of their programs. So we have Lori Doyle in curriculum instruction, Tanya Tarbutton for Ed Admin, Sandy Mercier for Ed Tech, and School Counseling, Karen Wiggins. We have about half of our administrators here tonight and half online. Okay, so I did mention back in August the late policy procedures, because we didn't change the late policy, but we changed some procedures with how we go about this. So I listed what we have listed in the syllabus, and what we've done in the past is if a student were to come to us before an assignment is due and says, I've been sick with the flu, or I've been in the hospital, or this emergent circumstances happen, I'm going to need a little more time to complete my assignment. The instructor has that ability to say, yes, that's fine, we can give you 1 week from the assignment's due date. However, our policy is that everybody does receive 20% deduction in points, but you can turn it in. We also used to be able to say, going away on a trip and not pre-planning doesn't really fall within that emergent circumstance, so we will not take the assignment late. Well, we felt that this was causing just a lot of policing of our faculty with having to decide, should I take it, shouldn't I take it? So the policy stands, this is what students see, and this is what we'd like to stand by. However, we don't want you to be the ones to have to make the decision, does this fall within the guidelines of accepting or not accepting? So with that, if a student were to even be honest with you and say, I just had a really tough week, I was busy, and I didn't do the assignment, you can still say, that's fine. You have 1 week to turn it in, and it's due that Sunday, the week after it was due, and it's 20% deduction. Now, if we have a student that really had a hardship happen, and within your heart you're saying, I can't, it's tearing me apart to get 20% deducted from their score when I know what happened with the student this week. That's where we pull in our program administrators, and we take that pressure off the instructor, and you send the situation to the administrator and you say, this is what happened. Can you be the one that connects with the student and explains to them the decision whether you will accept the assignment late with no deduction in points or will accept it with the deduction. So that is completely taken off the instructors. So that list of administrators with Rick and Andrea and Ron and Sandra, those are the folks you would go to within those programs to make those decisions for you. So we're hoping that helps with those kind of sensitive situations that do arise. So those are the new procedures. Again, we don't tell our students, oh, if you just want to go to Disneyland for the week and don't want to do it. We don't tell them that. They see the policy. But you do have that option to pass it on to an administrator. So I did want to reiterate also the weekly announcements. We want to make sure that we have Concordia style when we send out those weekly announcements to our students. With that, we want all of the announcements to go out to be professional, warm, and personalized. We have seen in the past just the link to the weekly video sent out with no text whatsoever. That's not really warm and personal. Make sure you just type up, even if it's a paragraph, an announcement with the link included, and just make it something where you're connecting with the students. You can, some ideas are to debrief on the previous week's learning. You can provide advisement, enrichment, or support to your students. Give them reminders for upcoming requirements. Please do not copy-paste the table from the syllabus, though, because that becomes redundant. They already have that. They have it in Blackboard. They have it in the syllabi. So just make sure you give them bullet points with the due dates and what's due for the week. And then a motivational or spiritual component is always nice to include also in those announcements. Okay, so I do want to walk through posting your syllabus because we still have folks that are very new with Google Docs. And so hopefully I can get to Blackboard here and it'll let me. Sorry, I'm doing this with one hand. Uh-oh. Try again. Oh, it's in. Okay. Sorry, it's loading. All right, I'm just going to click on one of the master shells here. I'll do the 515 course in CNI. All right, so we used to have the syllabi in two different places, and we changed that recently. We used to include it in that instructor area. I do want to reiterate, make sure that it's kind of off the screen here. The edit function in the upper right corner is turned on, so that way you can see what the students cannot see. If it's turned off, then you're seeing what the students are seeing. So turn that on so you can see the instructor area. And then we used to also include it in the syllabus area. What we were finding was if you were late with getting your syllabus up or forgot for whatever reason or something needed to be changed on the master syllabus, then the master syllabus was still included under that link. So we wanted to eliminate that and have the instructors actually link their own personal syllabus. So we removed the master syllabus from the syllabus area. You may only locate it now in the instructor area. So the first part's the orientation with the videos and the documents for that. Here's the syllabus on the second part. I'll open that. You'll see it's view only. You can't edit this master document because this is what everybody sees. I will go to File and make a copy. I'll title that. You'll title it with the actual course and your name and the term. Albrecht syllabus. And then OK. Now this will go to your drive. Right now I'm the owner of that folder it just went into, so that's why it went in that folder, but it will actually go onto your drive. And then here, uh-oh, I'm off the screen here. Sorry, let me put this down for a moment. Oh, Randall, I can't get your screen over so I can see the share function. Well, the screen is off of what I need to click on. Because see right here in the upper corner it says comment, I need the share function, it's next to it. And it's not letting me drag it. So there's a function over here. There we go, thank you. Okay, so we click on that blue share function and then go to advanced. And just make sure that right here, you do change, it is on anyone with the link. If you do on anyone at Concordia University, there will be problems with that. Do not choose that one. Just do on anyone with the link can view. Click on that and save. It's also recommended that you add your course SME onto it. So if there's anything that needs to be updated, if there's clarifications of an assignment that students are asking about or instructors are asking about, they can go right in and make that clarification right for you if they're added to it. So you would just add the email address right here, and then you would click done, and that will share it. Then you go to share, see where it says right here, anyone with the link can view. Copy link is all I do, and now it's ready to put into Blackboard. I go back into Blackboard. Oh, I hope I could drag it, Randall. There we go. I click on syllabus. Oh, there it is. Okay, so right next to the course syllabus, it gives you the down cursor. Click on that and click edit. So it says click here to access the EDU 515 syllabus. I will just highlight, click here, go to this chain link, click on it, paste the link into the URL. Now right here where it says target, this is important. Make sure you go to open in a new window, because if you don't, the students are going to click on the syllabus and it's going to look like an error screen. There is a link they can click on and it gets them into the syllabus, but it's a couple steps. So if you have it open in a new window, it'll just open right there for them in a new window. go ahead and, I won't do it because it's the master, but go ahead and delete all the yellow because that's just a note for you. You don't want your students to see that. And then submit. And that's basically how we put our syllabi in. Okay. Are there any questions about that? John, you would know that, right? Okay. So the question was, is there a reason why we separate the student domains from the faculty domains? And it was just something way back when IT actually did it for security purposes. So we don't use that. It's caused some trouble when we do use that. So we just have anyone with the link can view it. Are there any other questions? Okay. We are recording this, correct, Randall? So this information will be available later that you can watch the video and get the information. Catherine Webb also has those tutorials, the videos that you can watch. This is all step-by-step in there. One thing I did forget to mention that's in her videos that we are no longer doing, she has a step in there that you would save those syllabi to the course folder, and we're no longer doing that. It just gets backlogged then with a ton of different syllabi. You do not need to worry about saving it to a course folder. We trust that you have your own management system within Google Docs or saving a hard copy of it yourself, so we leave that up to you to do your own management and organization in Drive. So don't worry about that step. That step has actually caused some issues as well because folks didn't know where the course folder was. That's because we didn't have that accessible to the instructors. And are we good on the syllabi then? No more questions? Okay. Okay, so then we go to developing groups. This has been another one that's been a little tricky. We've tried to make it as simple as possible. And actually I need to go back to Blackboard because I'm going to walk through that as well. Okay, so in your course, you have a group assignment. You go to the Groups tab. And I just thought about this. I don't know if I have students set up in these master shells. I did for the capstone one that I was going to show you, but I chose this one instead. Let me go to the Week 8 project Group 1. Click on the cursor, go to Edit Group. Scroll to the bottom. That should not come up. Scroll to the bottom and it will say Add Users. Okay, so there's no students in this course. So I should have chosen my capstone course to show you. Your students will all show right here on this link that comes up. You'll click 2 or 3 students. That's the number of students we're using now for all group assignments throughout the entire program. You'll click on the 2 to 3 students for the group. You will submit. When you submit it, they will be added to that group 1 and they will be removed from this list. So only your students that are not in a group yet will be remaining on this list. So when you go to group 2, do the same thing until there are no students left on the list. That's it. You don't have to set up groups. They're already pre-developed for you. All of the groups are already submitted to the group assignment link, so you don't need to add the students to that assignment. It's all done. All you have to do is add students to the pre-developed groups, and that's it. And again, Catherine's done a great job with walking you through those steps in the video as well as the document that shows you how to do each step there. Yes, question? So I showed those when we did the syllabus section and I went to the instructor area. The instructor area of your course, that top section are Catherine's videos. And it will also take you to the resource center. All of the videos are also found there. Yes. How are we on time, Ron? Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so these are just general reminders. Please keep the course design intact. We have had a team of our tech folks and MAD folks that have designed the look of the courses. The colors, the style of the course menu buttons, what course menu buttons will actually be there. So students come to each class and they know that this is the look of my master's program class. So please make sure that that stays intact. The placement of the date ranges, those course menu buttons, again, stay intact. We don't change anything with those, but within those buttons, you make the changes. So when you click on the weekly content, or the weeks, so week 1, you'll see the weekly lesson come up, and it has the dates for you to fill in. The very top section of each weekly lesson will have the date range. You just hit that cursor, edit, and put in your date ranges. So that's where that's included there. Keep up with grading. So it's very important to keep up with grading, especially when we get to academic warning weeks, which is about weeks 3 and 4. If we have a student that's not pulling their weight, they're getting a C or lower, and we haven't done our grades, it really puts us in a bind. And we don't want them appealing, and then it shows that the instructors haven't kept up and they didn't know that they weren't doing well in the class. So please make sure weekly those grades on Blackboard are updated. That's for every delivery. That's for blended, that's for face-to-face. We use Blackboard for every course in the program. So just a reminder for that. Again, academic warnings, make sure you get those out. That's on My Records. You can do that now very simply on My Records. Log in and submit those warnings. And then we have assignment submissions must be hard files. I mentioned that before. We don't want Google Doc links to be put in the assignments, and then a student afterwards, after grading, changes the assignment, disables the share settings, or if nothing's on our assignments gradebook anymore. So we are requesting that even if they do use a soft link, to download it into a Microsoft Word or something that's hard that they can download and attach. Yeah, Tracy. Right, and yeah. Right, what she had mentioned was that when students have a Prezi or a PowerPoint and they download it into a PDF, the quality changes, and so what they actually worked on isn't visible to the instructor. And so with that, most of those are group projects or a presentation. I would say that a Prezi would still be fine. What we're finding is the problem are the signature assignments, because that's what we use for our assessment, our WASC assessment, our APLO. Yeah, so so we want to make sure those are hard copies, but for a presentation I would say that would be fine. The problem with PDFs is you can't use the Blackboard grading functions either. You want to be able to use those, so you can use those in Word or PowerPoint if they download that. Yeah, thank you. Are there any other questions with that? Okay, I wanted to reiterate using email. Use your CUI email. Do not accept assignments through your email. Make sure they submit everything on Blackboard so it's documented. Use your CUI email account or Blackboard whenever you communicate with your students. And please be sure to keep your scheduled live sessions and face-to-face sessions as they are scheduled. That's what your students come to expect. It is told to them in the beginning. They have their calendar in place, so they are meeting those. If there is an emergent circumstance or you know of a date that you can't meet, please contact your program administrator so we can get you a substitute or make arrangements to get around so your students aren't missing that class. So we want to make sure that everyone's communicating with any missed dates. And when you do have a live session in our credential program, school counseling, and in admin, when you're doing the blended or not blended, excuse me, your online synchronous sessions, please record them. Because if you have a student that cannot attend it, then at least they could watch that recording and they're not losing out on the learning. So that would help tremendously. This is leading into Sandy's piece. So I just wanted to reiterate again the APLOs that we talked about the last time, and we were looking at oral communication. We found that in online we weren't really meeting the needs of oral communication because we weren't assessing that or even requiring it. So now Sandy's going to be talking about some ideas when we do group projects or presentations, what they can do to put audio and video into the presentations and some great tools that they can implement. And we're hoping that we can this next year work with our SMEs so they can make these requirements now in our class, that our students are living up to the innovative technology that they're doing in K-12 classrooms. So we want to be teaching that as well. So thank you. And here's Sandy.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. We are working on the buzz in the sound, so hang in there with us. We're going to switch microphones and see if that helps. So I'm going to switch this off, and Sandy's going to switch on the lapel mic and see how that works. Let's try that.
All right. Thank you, Ron.
Kathy's not in here anymore. Kathy said my presentation was below hers, but Sandy's, Randall, where's Sandy's presentation's on here?
Yeah, it's right after.
Right after also?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is. It goes right into it.
Perfect.
There you go.
It's on full screen?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for your attention on all of this. I know it's a lot to take in. My name is Sandy Mercier, and I have the privilege of being the program coordinator, as Ron mentioned, for EdTech, and I also enjoy teaching online in curriculum and instruction and EdTech. So if I don't know you, hello, and thank you for being here online and in person. We wanted to kind of talk about our student development. We're always trying in the School of Education to help our students and support them and help them grow. And so as part of the university-wide program effectiveness assessment that we do, we always look at our graduate learning outcomes, right? And Kelly kind of talked about this. And the one that we focused on this year is effective communication. And with our online courses especially, looking at how we can support our students with their oral presentations. So obviously if you're not in a face-to-face format, you can't have the students get up and speak and give great eye contact and give creative presentations and be engaging and all of that. So in an online delivery, it's a little bit more tricky. And so we're looking at how we can help our students that might be in an asynchronous program to be able to work on their oral presentation skills too. And so they fell a little bit short in this area. Dr. Barb Howard kind of mentioned the reports they do as part of our assessment and always trying to see what our effectiveness looks like and how we can always improve. And so the digital media presentations was kind of the area that we wanted to talk about just a little bit tonight. So there's some 21st century and beyond, obviously, as we're well into the 21st century, but the presentations tools that we can help our students create effective, where it gets their point across that they want to present about to their colleagues and to their instructor, and also to be engaging as they present orally. And so our PLO, Promote Active Learning, is kind of one of ours that is trying to help our students learn not just how to research, not just how to analyze, but also to take what they've learned and present it in a thought-provoking way and to be innovative and to try to engage their audience. And so as we're trying to help our students grow, I have some tools that are all free. Now, of course, all these free tools you can always bump up to the paid option and you'll have more features, obviously. But this is just a little list to get you started that you can explore with your own students here in our MAED program, as well as in your own classrooms. Many of you are practitioners out in the field of K-12 education. And so if you have any of these tools that you'd like to use that might be low stress, they might be pretty easy to plug into your pedagogy. Many of you are on the wide spectrum of being comfortable with technology and using different tools and apps. So if you are a little bit hesitant, there's some tools here for you. If you are kind of an expert, then you can be a mentor for the rest of them, right? So the first one, Prezi. You might think, Prezi, that's old. It is. However, there are still a lot of people out there that are pretty comfortable just using PowerPoint or maybe even Google Slides. And so I wanted to kind of show you that this can be a tool that is very visually stimulating for our students. It kind of changes things up. The neat thing about it is as Prezi has gotten better, as it's improved, they've added new things you can add in these presentations. So you can now do video links and graphics, and you can put interactive charts and graphs in there, animation, and creative backgrounds. And so the neat thing that kind of talks about the oral presentation part is that you can add music and narration to enhance your presentation. So if we're thinking about in an asynchronous program, how do we add an oral presentation piece? The way I'm looking at it is the student can narrate what they want their colleagues to learn about. And that's going to be their oral presentation. And so there's lots of ways to do that. There's systems that have the program will narrate for you, or you can record your own voice and narrate along to the slides. Some students will do background music, and then they'll have speech bubbles, like one of the tools I'm going to teach you has kind of animation that way. But there's lots of different ways that you can do this. So I wanted to kind of show you that there's, Prezi has, for businesses, for schools, all different things. And the neat thing about it is it's kind of, for some people, it's a little overwhelming because those bubbles kind of pop out at you and you don't know where to go. But for those of you who have used it, there are all kinds of tools now that, again, the animation piece, and this is in the free one. So again, we know that there's all kinds of pricing options, but even with the regular Prezi that you can use by just going to Prezi.com, there are all kinds of new interactive features that you can use and have your students practice using those. And so I wanted to encourage you that you can take a look and see how it works yourself. You can type in your own titles, you can add in your own videos, you can add in your animations. And like I mentioned, the part that we're trying to really talk about tonight is how to get your students to present orally, and so how to have them experiment with different narration options. And so I would encourage you guys to go to Prezi.com. If you use it in your grading, here at Concordia, that's great, but as a practitioner yourself, it's a tool that is worth taking a look at again. Again, they've added those new features in that maybe we didn't know about. The next one is 30 Hands Learning, and for those of you who are very familiar with the elementary age, maybe K to 4, a lot of schools nowadays have lots of iPads for students to use, and this started off being an iPad app, right? And again, this one's not new either, but there are some new components that they have to it now, which is why I've chosen it. For those that teach the little ones and those that have students that are in the early elementary grades, it's a great digital storytelling tool. 30 Hands it allows the students to provide their own pictures. You can take pictures with the iPad, put those images that the students are taking into their presentation. They can get Google Images, they can record video in their classroom and insert that in their 30 Hands presentation. They can also record audio, which again is the oral presentation piece that we're trying to add for our students here to learn. They can explain a concept that way. And so the neat thing about that is that the students can use this to create their own presentations. And as a student, so if they want to talk about what they learned about the life cycle of a butterfly, they can create a 30 Hands presentation on the iPad and add their own narration into it as well. The educator can also use it for flipped learning. So if you want to have your students watch different videos at home or in centers with headphones or in the computer lab and then come back to class and discuss it and have more of a discussion the next day, that's a great way too to use. 30 Hands is a great tool for educators to use as well. Now there is also a web-based tool for those that, for laptops to use. There's a cost for that one, but the iPad app is still available, and it's also available on other mobile devices too. So I kind of wanted to show you for those who aren't familiar, and again for those of you who are have heard of these tools. I'm hoping there'll be something new that you will learn. So there's always videos. So all these websites have fantastic tutorials. Great videos teaching you as an educator how to use it for student use and for instructor use. It's really great how they even have those tutorials separated out. Common questions, things like that. I was talking about flipping the classroom. This is an example of how you can use the iPad or the web version of 30 Hands to go ahead and give the students a video that they can watch on their own, like I mentioned, at home. For those students that don't have access to computers, laptops, iPads at home, a lot of the students that I've heard from do centers in their classroom where they all take a turn and they have this maybe as a center where they watch the video from the teacher and then they do a collaborative activity with that in groups using their headphones and things like that. So there's all kinds of things you can do to flip the classroom. That's actually a topic of some of our courses here in the School of Ed. What's the advantage of that? Getting students to collaborate, getting students to view, maybe review. We talk about flipping the classroom with math lessons. If students are really having a hard time getting a concept, if they can watch the teacher's video, whether it be from YouTube or whatever it might be from home, and review the concepts and then come to class the next day, it just helps the students to get that, and parents too. And so there's all other ways we can do that too using something like 30 Hands. So I also wanted to show you this one. So this one is the iPad section, so it's 30hands.net. And what it is it shows you how students are using it. And there's actually some great pictures of students using it in a variety of classroom settings. It actually shows examples of presentations using 30 hands. And again, now that iPads are becoming a lot more common in both public and private school settings, especially with the younger kids, it's a great user-friendly program. So I have this, this whole presentation will be available for you guys to review with all these links too. So if you want to kind of explore them, I would encourage you to. The third one is Powtoon, and this is one of my favorite ones. It's an online animated tool. So the students love the fact that it's easy to use for you as an instructor or for your students, and it basically brings graphics and people come to life as animated folks that are speaking with speech bubbles. And so you can add background music, you can insert your own images, photos that you've taken, or like I said, free use Google Images, links to any websites you want, any video clips. And it's just a great way for students that need to present something to kind of show you as the educator what they've learned, to be able to do so while they're narrating and while they choose an animated person to represent them. They can look for ones that look like them, you know, gender and all, there's hair color and all of that, and that animated person kind of speaks and can either be the person's voice or it can be background music with the speech bubbles in text. So there's different options with Powtoon, which I like. I like the fact that either the character is speaking, the actual student's voice, or using speech bubbles with the text, and then there's background music. So I have a website to show you of just how to get started. And so I thought I was logged in. I guess I'm not. But here is the web. It's basically their tagline so everyone can animate. So it's used in a variety of ways. You can log in. It's free. I use my Concordia email when I log in. Let's see if this will work. I teach brain-based learning and teaching, and I love that course. And actually, one of the projects I have my students do is a defense of why the arts and movement should stay in our curriculum in schools, K to 12, public, private, everything, and why budgets should not be cut with the arts in general, with PE, recess, movement in the classroom, with brain breaks and all of that. So I have my students create a presentation that's persuasive, like they are a lawyer trying to get the jury to agree with them that yes, this should stay in the budget, and yes, arts and movement is so important for teaching the whole child and for proper engagement of our students. And so I have my students create that, and they can choose whatever tool they want to present their argument, their persuasive presentation. And several of my students have chosen Powtoon as theirs, and I got permission to use this one as an example. So you guys can see what it looks like. Or maybe not. Okay. Allow? Let's try that. Randall, do you know if we have volume? Does that automatically work? Do you know? Yes. It will? Okay, great. Well, oh, there we go. I'm just going to show you a few minutes of what it can do. I'm just going to kind of go through it. It can take a while. Sorry, it's not letting me fast forward to the slide that I want to show you, so. I'll do it the old school way. You can even put APA and text citations in there. Look at that. Yay for APA. You can put videos. It's getting, I promise it'll get better. Here we go. So you can put, you know, videos in there. And this student actually had not tried the narration feature. And some of my students had the little animated lady that you saw actually have speech bubbles where it spoke what she wanted her to say. This person chose to do background music instead because it wasn't required to have a narration piece. I actually would love to encourage my students to do the narration instead of just background music. See if it'll pause. So that's kind of what, let's see. So yeah, you have options as a instructor if you want to require that or not. But that's an example of what Powtoon can do. And they've improved it a lot since even this was made a little while ago. But there's lots of choices that you can do as far as personalizing the animation, adding a lot of the video files, and YouTube videos, brain breaks, things like that, like we talked about in this course that I'm discussing, and then also the narration piece. The fourth one is called Buncee. And Buncee is a presentation tool that's really fun for students and educators to use, and it's basically for the art of storytelling. So it allows students to visualize concepts and increase their engagement and to help them participate in the presentation. And so you can insert media into your lessons. You can have it be an engaging games type of a model, quizzing. You basically can have the students interactive where they've logged in and they can interact with you during the presentation. There's all kinds of things you can do. We've talked about the flipped classroom videos, how those are really helpful. And so this is a great concept for that. I like the fact that it is, it's all about storytelling, but you can also do it, you can do any kind of presentation you want. So in your video presentation, it can be any topic you want to, I mean, this one's all about the solar system, and there's narration happening as each planet, comes onto the screen. I know it's hard for you guys to see it. Let's see if I can move this over. Let's see. Oop, that's not what I wanted. But the solar system, it just shows you different examples of how you can interact with your Buncee activity. For schools, there's lots of options that are free, and it even shows that you can have assessments on there. You can make multiple choice quizzes. You can upload your graphics and put media in there and have it be like individualized activity that they might do like in partners with their headphones. You can do all kinds of things with it. One example I wanted to show you was a student sample of how a student was given a prompt and they chose to create this as their finished product with the narration piece in it. So I'm going to do play. We'll see if you can hear it. Oh, you can't hear the sound. Okay. Well, unfortunately on these, the student was narrating. What do you think the sun looks like? And how about this, more accurate? So she was actually narrating the questions. Oh, wait. Let's see if this helps.
How about this? Is this more
Okay, let's start over.
Is this what the sun really looks like?
It's not her voice.
How about this? Is this more accurate?
And then the YouTube video plays, and it shows, gives the information. And then they have this.
So what causes Earth seasons?
So this student typed in what she wanted the screen to say, and the little, robotic voice did it, right? You could choose female or male. But you can also have the students actually record their own voices using the same exact tool, where they would just click on this little speaker, and their voice would be able to come through. So this is just an example of how the students can do that. And so this, this was done in groups of 4. Each student could take a turn narrating a slide if you wanted. There's all kinds of things you can do. But Buncee is a very interactive tool that has a lot of options. Again, inserting media, making it be a presentation tool as well as a storytelling tool. I've even seen a lot of instructors use it as a quizzing option where they give students different options on their smartboard. They come up and the students answer the questions. There's all kinds of ways that we can use that. And again, the oral presentation piece is a big part. And Buncee definitely helps with that, and it's free. One of my favorite tools, number 5, is Adobe Spark. And so I feel like Adobe is everywhere, right, which is fantastic. And so Adobe Spark is an example of a presentation tool that allows you to create graphics, if you want to use that for your course content, to create videos, to create web stories, and you can add photos and video links, and you can also add the narrator voiceover option, which enhances that oral component we've been talking about. So here is their website. And so you can create all kinds of things, a how-to video. So this example was how to make the perfect churro, right? Well, obviously you might want to do something a little different with yours, but it allows you to create a presentation on any topic as long as you log in, which it's free, which I guess it logged me out. But you can create an actual video, so Adobe Spark Video, which is what you would do here. And again, you can use your own images that you've saved onto your device, or you can use Google Images or whatever it might be, and you can create interactive videos that have all kinds of narration options and video links and things like that. And then not just Spark Video, but also Adobe Spark in the classroom. So what I like about this is that you can create reports, research papers for those of you who teach, in your practitioners maybe in the junior high or high school level, posters, writing assignments, and presentations. And that's a whole different tool that Adobe Spark offers. So there all kinds of things you can do. So if you're in charge of the photography club, you could have a Adobe Spark for your photography club or whatever it might be. So for here at Concordia, if you have students put in groups, they could all make a Adobe Spark in their group of 2 or 3 on whatever topic you've asked them to. They can add whatever APA, whatever images, whatever you want them to add. They can also add their narration. And so it's a couple different links that you can explore here regarding Adobe Spark. So again, it is free. There's always going to be options that cost money if you want more features, but the beginning one is definitely free. I don't have time to go into all of these, but there are some neat tools too that maybe don't have the narration, but they might be more interactive for you to encourage your students to try as they present their findings to you. Storyboard That is a great tool for storytelling as well, for storyboards, kind of like makes digital comic strips, but it allows information to come together in a creative way, which is kind of a lot of the students that I'm teaching right now are using that with their students. Animoto too. It's pretty hard to find the free accounts. They aren't really as user-friendly as they used to be with that, but they do have video creation software too, and it's a lot of fun. You can apply as an educator for a free account. So I'll show you real quick what Storyboard That looks like, and you can explore that on your own. But all kinds of neat tools for teachers to create. It's like, for example, if you have your students, reflect on something they've read, they can create a story about what they've read and add pieces to it, and just a lot of neat options there with Storyboard That. Animoto, again, has the pricing, but also has some free options. Down here you'll see that you can use it with your classroom students. If you apply, you just basically apply, you fill out a little contact form, and you're able to get in for free. They kind of want to rope you in so that you'll hopefully move up to the paid subscription, but that's okay. But it's another idea to kind of stretch our students a little bit and their presentation tools so that we're not always using what we're familiar with, which tends to be PowerPoint and Google Slides, which are great, but it's always good to kind of challenge our students and add to their ed tech toolbox a little bit. So as I mentioned, I enjoy teaching online, but I also enjoy working with folks as the PC for EdTech. So I wanted to make sure you guys had my email address so that if you have questions about how to use these tools and any other clarification issues or suggestions that I can give, I'm happy to provide any assistance. Are there any questions? Yes, Anne.
I think this is kind of, if you ever teach 550, they are supposed to do something where they do a narrate either animation or do a video.
Yes.
And they're just lost. Unless they're in the ed tech program, they're just lost. So would it be possible for us to place this slideshow in there and then also just show a couple of samples of what students have done, because I don't think they have any idea of what's possible.
Maybe not the slideshow, but just the list of all the ones.
I didn't realize they were all trying to find out resources, and so I was doing that individually with all the students.
Maybe an idea, Anne, that's a great question, is to, in that feedback form that every course has, the feedback for the SME in the instructor area, maybe to add, can we provide some examples of different tools to use in the master shell that can then get cloned for everyone to be able to use? And examples could be narration, storytelling tools, right? And there's a couple that we could just include there that instructors could share. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Yes. Randall, are there any questions online? No? Okay. Thank you so much for your time, everybody. Oop. There you are.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandy. I'm glad you made that comment about being happy to share this information online, because I just posted online that you'd be happy to share these things with anybody who asks.
There's my email address.
There's the email address. Okay. Great examples tonight of our program coordinators and the skills they have to support you in what you do. That's what they're here for. So thank you both for sharing that information. It's just extremely helpful. Okay, we're going to switch gears here and move into a presentation by John Randall. Not Randall McDermott, but John Randall. I send emails back and forth to the wrong people all the time, from the Randalls. A shocking statistic. Just a few short years ago, we were mostly face-to-face in our program. That was our method of operandi. That was how we did business. This year, we went to 92% online, 8% blended. That's where we are. How long ago was it we started going online? Just 2 years, maybe? Short amount of time. Within a year to 2 years, we have flip-flopped completely from face-to-face instruction to online instruction, and some blended. That's a huge shift. That is a huge change of how we do business. That is incredible to make that kind of a leap in a short amount of time. All of our wonderful folks here at Concordia have made that possible. We thought maybe at first it was just kind of an anomaly. Maybe this is just kind of a strange thing happening now, and then it would just kind of go back to being face-to-face. But we're seeing more and more that this seems to be the way of the future, and this is the way we're doing business. So it's up to us to do our best to bring our program to our students in a way that is going to be the best possible instructional method for them. So what I'm saying is, in our blended programs and in our online programs, we have a responsibility to be the best, because that's what our students expect from us. And the care, nurturing, support, and things that we've done face-to-face for so many years, now we're going to do online, okay? And we're going to keep that communication going. I've been sending out some little chat notes here to the group online tonight. One of our goals was to create a digital community, in a sense, online community in our program. And I am so excited, because watching the chat going on has just encouraged me so much to see the comments, the feedback, the suggestions, the sharing. There's a whole PLC going on online right now. Our folks are just, instead of us having to answer questions, somebody jumps in and answers a question for somebody else. Oh, here's a link. Oh, here's this. Here's that. It's taking place as we're speaking. So that's exciting. But not all of us are experts in this field. We're not all experts in online teaching. So what are we going to do? We started talking about, how do we bridge this gap? How do we get to the point where our instruction online is as solid as our instruction face-to-face? So we talked about maybe an online certification program. So we started talking about it, looking around, and there's a great resource called the Online Learning Consortium that is available. Great programs, great certification, but it's not really us. And so we were talking with John Randall, and lo and behold, we have our very own in-house online certification program that John created that is tailored to our instructional programs. So we are so fortunate to have that available to us. Then we talked about, what are we going to do with this? Now that we have it, what are we going to do? We have to take the leap of all becoming confident instructors in the online environment. And so by doing what we're going to be talking about in just a minute, we're going to make sure that we have the best possible delivery system. We want every one of our faculty members, full-time and adjunct, to be certified in online instruction. So we can tell our students when we go out and recruit, and we prospective students, that our instructors know what they're doing. They're certified in online instruction, and we want to make that happen. We want to make that possible. So we're going to roll out a program of online certification for all of our faculty, and it's going to take a little time, but we're going to stage it, we're going to sequence it, and we're going to start rolling that out soon. We'll give you more details as they become available, but the point is we want you tonight to understand this is where we're headed, and this is what we want to do. So we appreciate your support, and we really appreciate John Randall and his program and his support, and he's going to tell us about how the program works, some details, so you can be thinking about it now, so when we start announcing the actual program implementation, you'll know what we're talking about. So thank you, John.
Thank you, Ron. Well, good evening. It's good to see everybody here and online, and I am happy to be the last person to talk. Yay. I wanted to take this opportunity just to take a few minutes to give you a broad stroke overview of what the program is all about. Now, this is new as of this last summer. It developed out of that level 1 certification we had that was just mechanics of how to use Blackboard and My Records into something more tuned to what we're doing in our online programs. And this particular certification covers all of our online programs, not just School of Ed. Thankfully, we have many people that have looked at this before we launched it. For instance, Barbara Howard, who I know is probably online, went through it and said, hey, John, you can't really say it this way because School Ed, we don't really do it this way. So we did some tweaking so that it would cover School Ed as well as professional studies, as well as Masters of Coaching and Athletic Administration. This particular course actually has 3 levels of certification. And they are, let me scroll down just so you can see what's involved, what the modules involved. The first level is orientation. So any new faculty member, adjunct or full-time, gets enrolled automatically in this course. So for those that are online as of end of last summer and maybe beginning of fall, you've been through this automatically. And even if you're not teaching in an online environment, we use this to orientate you to Concordia. The first module is all about who we are as a Christian Lutheran institution. The second module is the mechanics, the how-to of Blackboard and My Records, and what do I need to be able to work with those 2 systems tech spec-wise. If you're teaching face-to-face, those are the 2 you have to complete. Yay. We're talking about having all of us go through this program. You scratch your head and go, John, I've been teaching a long time. I know Blackboard inside and out. Why do I have to do this? Well, that's a different topic, but I'll tell you how easy it'll be for you to complete Module 2. I'm going to give you a little cheat sheet, a cliff note. So take note. If you are a veteran to Blackboard and My Records and everything, just keep scrolling like I'm scrolling. Just keep scrolling. Just keep scrolling. There's all kinds of great resources here, but you can keep scrolling until you get to the Module 2 assignment. You are going to get your very own sandbox course. And we moved that level 1 certification, if you remember way back when, it was a very poor assessment. We gave you a little quiz. You had to tell me how you did this and check it off. Whereas now we're moving to, show me that you know how to do something. So if you look down that list, you probably can't read it very well from the back there. These are some of the most common things any instructor will have to do with Blackboard. If you do those already, you should be able to complete this in literally minutes. Check, you're done. Yay! And then you can scroll back up, scroll back up, scroll back up, and maybe learn some of the additional things we have in that particular module here. So that's level 1 orientation certification. Then we have 2 other certifications that this course covers. Asynchronous certified instructor and synchronous certified instructor. So some of you are teaching in a program that the synchronous is going away and others are not. So modules 3, 4, and 5 are all about online pedagogy. We talk about in Module 3 different learning theories specific to online teaching, which is kind of nice. Then we go into best practices for online teaching in Module 4. And then Module 5 is all about that synchronous piece. So a lot of us in here are using Blackboard Collaborate or Adobe Connect in the EDD program or Townsend programs here. How do you use those effectively? You're used to standing up here in front of your students talking like this. Well, how does that translate to an online environment? So we go over some practices that hopefully will help you in that environment. By the way, Collaborate just this week dropped a new continuous release, and you can actually change the name of your recordings now in the new module, which is kind of nice. You can also use your phone to call in without using your computer. If any of you have had that issue of computers going bad and not being able to dial in, you can as of this week, which is kind of nice. So I'll update the Adobe Connect Survival Guide or Blackboard Collaborate Survival Guide for you. All of the tools that Sandy mentioned tonight, by the way, not all of them, a lot of them were derived from people like you out there, like Christy, who actually helped build some of our courses. I am happy to give you access. Actually, I'll give you a copy. I won't let you into any of our existing courses, but I'll be happy to give you access to the EdTech 2 course that Sandy and I both teach. A lot of the tools she mentioned came right from that course from tech coaches like Christy out there who actually developed the course. So I'm also a resource for you as well. So it's john.randall@cui.edu, not Randall McDermott, the younger, better looking one, but he can also help you as well. So thank you for your time this evening. I look forward to seeing and meeting you. Bye-bye now. Question? Oh.
Yeah. So you've just given us a bunch of work to do, which is fine. When does it get to us? When do we start? How much? What's the plan?
Oh, we were very vague on purpose. we are figuring out a deployment model. Yes, we are figuring out a deployment model because right now it's an asynchronous course and it's self-paced, but I still have to go in there and review work, right, and give guidance and all. So I can't have all 100 and something of us all at once enrolled in the course. That might be an issue. So Ron and Kent and I are figuring out how many people are going to be able to get through it in X number of times. So if you're really wanting in or you really don't want to take it, cash is always accepted. So keep that in mind. So we're working those details out. We will communicate that with you when we have got that plan for you.
Will we be doing some work over the summer?
You could. You might be.
John, could you talk about the time frame involved and
how long it will take? Sure.
It may sound like a lot more than it is.
Sure. How long is it going to take you to complete this thing, right? Once you're in it. Well, if you're going to go all the way through the asynchronous, all 5 modules of it, if you really have not, if you're very detailed in your reading, let's put it that way. Barbara Howard, thank you Barbara, went through item by item by item and timed herself how long it actually took to do this. And she estimated that it would take about 8 hours. Now, she was diligent and she read all those articles, which is fabulous. And we put it in there for a reason, right? We would hope you would get something out of here, out of that. Some of us might skim a little bit faster than others, and you may be able to get through it a little bit faster. You're not going to be quizzed on it like in the level 1, so you have to actually produce something at the end. So you may be able to get through it a little bit faster and sooner than 8 hours, but again, it's self-paced. You're not having to complete it in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Now, we do ask any new instructor that comes on, by the way, to complete it before they teach us for the first time. Any other questions?
We have another testimonial here, about 8 hours. So
about 8 hours. Okay. Okay. All righty. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay. Yes, that is a good question. How are we going to roll it out? The purpose of having John's presentation tonight was simply to get you thinking about it, to start preparing for it, and thinking about how this will fit into your schedule, because our goal is that every single faculty member is certified by next fall, is really what our goal is. So that's a challenge, but we think it's doable, and we're committed to it, and we're going to make sure it happens, because, like I say, we want to make sure every single one of us feel confident. This is for you, not just for us to have a new program. It's for you to feel confident in doing what you're doing. Okay? So that should be an exciting rollout. All right. We are going to wrap up in just a couple of minutes. And John, you weren't the last one. You're not the last speaker. I am. Here you go. It's not on the agenda. So I'll take the last place here. Okay. We were meeting and talking about these meetings, and thought it'd be nice if we do something here that we do in the on-campus faculty staff meetings that has been a real positive thing. And that is to recognize various faculty members for their participation in our programs. And so in our ongoing regular staff meetings here at school, we have what's called the Spotlight on Excellence. And we recognize various faculty members for an outstanding job and just say thank you for the great job they're doing. So tonight we're going to roll out the first ever Spotlight of Excellence for the MAED professional development meetings, and we're going to focus on 2 programs tonight. Are you going to help me?
I'm going to find your stuff.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So,
So where's the spot?
all right.
The chrome icon, the circle, right there.
Okay. So we're going to focus on 2 programs tonight. CNI and also, you didn't see that, and also on counseling. Okay, so tonight, our first recipient of the Spotlight of Excellence goes to one of our great adjuncts, Rob O'Rear. And he's with us online tonight, so Rob, congratulations. And just a quick note here from Lori Doyle, the program coordinator. Rob O'Rear has been a wonderful addition to the CNI adjunct faculty since day 1 of his first class. He strikes a great balance between showing encouragement and holding students accountable. Rob's announcements and messages to students carry a tone of excitement over the content as well as the journey his students are on. And it is a journey he knows well as a graduate of our MAED program. His experience as a student in our program allows him special insight into the ins and outs, and he is always willing to share tidbits of information on a cheerful, you can do it, note just at the right point in the course. I have seen Rob work through situations with a smile, and he has a true willingness to put in the hard work needed to be an effective instructor. Rob truly represents Concordia and is an asset to our team. Thank you, Rob, for all you do. Congratulations. Rob will be receiving one of these little plaques here. And now we have another to present in the counseling program, and this person happens to be in the room. This is exciting. Okay, and our program coordinator shared this information about this recipient. Dr. Tony Brown has rendered exemplary service to the School of Education Counseling Program for many years. In addition to teaching courses including the Capstone Research Project, Dr. Brown serves as the SME, subject matter expert for EDSC 535, EDSC 561, and assists with the coordination of the counseling practicum and fieldwork program. She is well known for graciously going the extra mile with a smile and providing support to our students, staff, and fellow faculty members. It is with the highest regard that we recognize and thank Dr. Antonia Brown for long-standing dedication and outstanding service to Concordia, the School of Education, and the MAED School Counseling Program. Tony. Congratulations. Okay, way to go. So we'll be doing this each meeting to highlight some faculty and programs, and thank you all for your participation. Did I miss anything? Did I forget anything? Okay.
I just want
a reminder that the Resource Center has a professional development meeting folder with all the PowerPoints and videos.
Why don't you say?
Oh, okay. Just a reminder that our Faculty Resource Center has a professional development meeting folder, and within that folder will be the date 2/5, and then within that folder we'll have all the PowerPoints and the video for tonight.
Thank you. Okay, to answer all those questions, yes, these presentations are available and they'll be in the faculty resource folder. So you have them available to you to watch over and over and over again. All right, anything else then for the good of the order? Did we forget anything? Anybody? I always want to make sure that we didn't forget something.
Thank you, Ron.
No, we're good? Okay, all right. Okay, we're midway through the year. It's February, and for all of us that are working on school sites daily and doing this along with the regular job we do, thank you, because that is a real challenge, and we appreciate your extra work. So, God bless you. Thank you. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.